Hey folks, today is Friday, March 21st, 2025. As usual, my name is Jake Baldino, here to talk about all the video game news that has been going on this week. A bunch of cool stuff, and the first thing is just something cool we wanted to show you. Check out this game that looks like it has some of the coolest destruction we've seen in a long time. This is Kingmakers. This is not like an endorsement or an advertisement for the game or anything, but it just got a new gameplay trailer at the Future Games Show, which I will link below. You should check it out. It highlights like AA games and indies and stuff like that. And Kingmakers has been on my radar for a while. I did say in another video it was one of my most anticipated. But here, this kind of gameplay overview, we get a little bit more of an overview of what you're actually doing. Because I was sold on the concept, right? You're a guy in like medieval battles where you have guns. I think that's just fun, quirky, awesome. That concept has been done a little bit before, but not to this scale. I think it looks really creative, and now we got even more of a look at like how the gameplay goes down, how it kind of feels, but what you're actually doing moment to moment. There's actually some strategy. There's elements of castle building and handling sieges, but what we got to see that really, made us want to highlight it in this video is some of the destruction, man. The previous trailers kind of, I feel like they suggested some of this, but like now we see whole buildings collapsing when the dude just takes an RPG to it. And it just looks really, really impressive. Of course, with destruction and stuff like that, like you don't really know the full extent until you get your hands on it, but I just think this looks really cool. And it was a game I was already excited for, and now it just looks a little bit more awesome. As of right now, it might be 2025. They said it's coming to PC early access, with the developer who did the presentation saying that hopefully also on consoles at some point. But for now, it definitely seems like it's going to be a PC thing. And I just like that they're going all in on this thing. I've seen gameplay trailers that wowed me with glitz and stuff before. I could be tricked by this, but I'm really hoping that they just take this concept and run with it and knock it out of the park. But we're just gonna have to wait and see. Hopefully 2025, but for now, if you want to check that trailer out and everything else I talk about this week, it's all linked in the description down below. Another significant thing this week is a new game studio, a new significantly big studio with PlayStation or Sony's backing. PlayStation specifically formed this new first-party studio, and it's called Dark Outlaw Games. Sorry, I laugh. It's a little bit of a corny name, but I like it. I dig it. I was kind of a dark outlaw myself with my mustache, but I look stupid, so I shaved it. Thanks for those of you who bared with me and actually supported me. Now, what's significant about this new PlayStation studios, because PlayStation has back studios, like set up first-party studios and stuff like that. A lot of them are under the radar right now because they're all working on long-term projects, but this newest one is led up by Jason Blundell. So he was previously involved with another studio that I think kind of fell through, but he is significant because he is an industry vet, and he was one of the big Call of Duty guys, specifically on the zombies side. From GamesIndustry.biz, he was actually the co-studio head of Treyarch, and he was one of the lead creators on Call of Duty Zombies. After Call of Duty in like 2020, he moved on to make Deviation Studios. That's the studio I mentioned before. That fell through, but apparently he had gotten on board with Sony for that, for a new IP. So I'm wondering if that idea or concept is coming over with this new studio. I don't know. It seems like it was kind of like a messy transition, but hopefully this just means a new good game eventually comes out. Again, we don't know what they're working on, and we probably won't hear for a while. And I would say that even though he was, a Call of Duty guy for a while, I wouldn't say that just automatically means first-person shooter, but we're just gonna have to wait and see. Also, in some small news, speaking of PlayStation, it is worth pointing out that they released the system requirements for The Last of Us Part 2, if you're interested in that, and the PC features that's gonna come with it. That'll be linked. Good luck with those system specs, but we do know that the release, it's going to be a Nix's port, and it's going to be coming April 3rd. Hey, now next up, this video is brought to you by our longtime sponsor, Vessi. We have been rocking these on our feet for years now. So if you're new, Vessi is a provider of dependable, comfortable footwear that doesn't just look and feel good, but is also 100% waterproof. And believe me, you don't realize how much of a game changer that actually is until you start wearing them out in the real world, whether it's for your job, for fun, at the beach, on hikes, in the city, wherever. You have a little bit more of a degree of freedom because you can step in puddles, step in slush, step in mud. These things wash right off. You're good to go, but your feet feel cool in the summer and warm in the winter. They have a bunch of different styles, shapes, colors for every type of scenario, every type of person and preference. And right now, lately, I've been rocking the Stormburst, specifically the high tops here. I just got a fresh pair. Big, thick, grippy sole if you're a little bit more adventurous outdoors. Really comfy kind of sock-like fit at the top here. These are a fresh pair, but I've had another pair for a while now that I wore into the ground, going outside, taking the dog for walks and stuff like that. Spring is here and it's gonna be rainy, so if you wanna check out the Stormburst or any other type of Vessis, all you gotta do is click the link in the description down below or head to vessi.com/gameranx. When you're there, you'll get 15% off your first purchase at checkout. For your daily errands, for jumping in the woods in the rain, whatever you got going on, check out Vessi. It's vessi.com/gameranx for 15% off your first pair at checkout. And big thanks to Vessi for sponsoring this video. Now, let's get back to the news. I'll be honest, a lot of this week's Friday show is just a lot of cool things that you should check out. Videos, new trailers, stuff like that. And don't miss this from GameSpot, of all people. This is a full-length documentary on the making of Stalker 2. This is pretty big. I haven't watched the whole thing yet, but I'm going to give it a recommendation because the people who worked on it are pretty awesome. It's a 45-minute watch. It's about them making the game, but also, you know, dealing with the fact that they were making the game when Russia invaded Ukraine and how they deal with that. Very interesting. So yeah, it's linked in the description down below. But in terms of new game trailers and announcements and stuff, Painkiller is back. I just did not see this one coming at all, but the now classic first-person shooter franchise seemingly is back with like a whole new look, a whole new feel, but this is apparently releasing fall 2025, and we got a full-ass gameplay trailer, and it looks like just what the doctor ordered for me personally. Yes, at first glance, you can just kind of compare it to Doom, like it's a Doom thing, but either way, I do think it is good for modern Doom to have some sort of competitor or spin-off or like another thing trying to do something similar but different. Painkiller always had this weird kind of special place in my heart. They weren't my favorite, but like in terms of like another mindless, gory, crazy first-person shooter, I was very happy that they were around. So the fact that there's a new one coming, I think is just a nice sign. It's not all bad news in the gaming world. Painkiller still exists. Now, let's see what they do with Serious Sam next. What's he up to? That last one I did not like. What was that? When was the last? Okay, the last Serious Sam was 2020. Okay, it's time. We'll probably see him soon too. We also got a new trailer for something that I've been curious of for a while. It's FBC Firebreak. This is like a multiplayer shooter, but from the people at Remedy. You know, the people behind Control, Alan Wake, Max Payne, stuff like that. So this is something very different for them. It seems like they're gently dipping their toes into something a little bit different, you know, maybe in danger of like maybe live servicey. But from what we've seen with the gameplay here, it does seem pretty consistent with Remedy's weirdness, which is what I was hoping. It's essentially FBC being the Federal Bureau of Control, so it's in that world, it's got that vibe. But what this kind of seems to be, and what some early previews have suggested, is that it's kind of like a Left 4 Dead style game in the Remedy universe, which that to me is a good elevator pitch. And now with this trailer, we're seeing some more gameplay, we're seeing some weapons and some weird zany stuff that you would expect from this team. It does have a release now. It says summer 2025. And in terms of releases this week, it's definitely worth highlighting Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition. The reviews for this have been very positive, and the gameplay I've seen looks absolutely awesome. There is definitely like a good overhaul here, and this game is getting a new lease on life. And honestly, how they made it look this good and have like a pretty like a lower storage size on this Nintendo Switch version is just really, really impressive. I am dying to get my hands on this when I have a spare lot of hours. Just add it to the list, right? Add it to the pile. Speaking of that pile though, the video is not out yet and the game is releasing next week, but Atomfall reviews have dropped for that. It's kind of like a AA weird game from the people behind the Sniper Elite series, but this is kind of like a Fallout weird hybrid BioShock mixed thing. It's very creative, it's very different, it's flawed, but I've really been digging it, so be sure to check out my video on that. And of course, releasing this week, Assassin's Creed Shadows. We put out the before you buy for that game, and I think that it is genuinely an improvement on Valhalla. The stealth is way better, the world is gorgeous, the production values are good, the game also is just not a glitchy mess. It performed really, really well for me, so it is not a failure by any means. But ultimately, me playing it, I think this formula needs a refresh. I didn't really enjoy playing this. The story didn't grip me, and after a while, the missions and the gameplay just felt repetitive. That's my take, and honestly, playing it and with the improvements and the better stealth and stuff like that, I think some people are really gonna like this one. There's a lot of people out there that loved Valhalla way more than me, and you might be one of those people, so AC Shadows might be for you. But if you want to check out the video, we also did a tips video as well if you are jumping into the game this weekend. All that linked down there. Some people were like, oh my god, Jake didn't like a game, wow. But like, if you've been following me for a while, you know I'm like this weird professional Assassin's Creed hater. I love the series so much, and I think I'm very demanding of it. But yeah. Also, I don't do this very often, but I like art. I know that might sound pretentious, but when it comes to the world of gaming, it's even better. And I just wanted to recommend this artist. I found them on social media. I believe like the Act Man or somebody like reposted it, but this is Cade.wav, and they do paintings of video games, like basically a screenshot of a video game but painted. It's kind of like a good blend of nostalgia and just like really cool creative vibes, and I've just been loving the art that they put out, so I just wanted to give that a shout out. And also, just in terms of like positive cool things, Split Fiction, in terms of the game being a success, we talked about that last week, but the head of the studio and lead director, Joseph Fares, did say that there was some things in the game that there was a thing in the game specifically that players hadn't found. It was really hard to find, and apparently it was incredibly challenging. He told us that. He talked about it on the Friends Per Second podcast I do with Skill Up and Lucy James and stuff like that. And lo and behold, some players got to it and conquered it. The creators are E1UMM4Y and Sharkov, and the players have been calling this laser hell because it's just this crazy intense gauntlet of lasers, but actually accessing it is really complicated. You got to do like almost like binary inputs. It's crazy convoluted, and actually Joseph Fares congratulated them, posted and invited them to Hazelight Studios in, I believe, Sweden to check out what they're working on next, which is very cool. It's Bytes, the YouTuber, also uploaded the level. I'll probably link that if you want to check it out. But just very cool that people accomplished it. It kind of felt like a Willy Wonka golden ticket type thing, and you love to see it. But that's everything in the gaming news I wanted to highlight this week. I got to get back to finishing the Before You Buy on Atomfall and a couple of other things, so keep your eyes peeled. But let me know what you think about the news this week. Obviously, Assassin's Creed Shadows is probably going to be one of the bigger talking points. It did cross, at the time of making this video, 1 million sales. So we'll see how that goes. But let me know what you think about that game. Let me know what you think about this new PlayStation studio and the potential therein. And also Kingmakers. What do you think about this crazy game and the destruction and stuff like that? Let's talk about anything gaming news at all down in the comments. Let me know what you're thinking. Of course, there's always going to be a pinned comment as well where you guys can reply and let us know what you're currently playing. I always say it, but like we use it to gauge for videos like interest, like what games you guys are actually playing, new or old. It just helps for our research. So thank you if you do that. But thank you for watching. Clicking the like button legitimately helps us. If you just like a quick news catch up every Friday, I'm always here. Been here for like a decade now. So yeah, that's it. Now all I ask of you is to have a great weekend. Be safe. I'm Jake Baldino. Pizza's on me. Feels really good to say that without a mustache. Anyway, or like a barely a mustache. Anyway.